Hello everybody and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm your host, Jakel, the world's worst YouTuber. In my video titled, Am I Metal Enough?, I talked a bit about how metalheads are very attached to the music that they love. I am not exempt from this. I am very attached to the music that I love. Granted, I personally feel it's my personal duty to try and keep it to myself because I have been one of those people that were like, oh, you don't like Atreyu? Oh, blah, 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 blah. You don't like Atreyu? Fuck you. You know, maybe trying to convince people to see from my point of view what I'm talking about, or just completely rip somebody's head off and shit down their throat. Then, yesterday, as if by some form of revelation, there I was scrolling the gallery on my phone when I rediscovered that I had some screenshots from a conversation that I initiated on another much more successful YouTuber's Instagram. These screenshots, I believe, showcase the subsequent attitude that many people have when someone criticizes their beloved thing. This particular thing happens to be the band Five Finger Death Punch, which is often shortened to FFDP. For those of you who don't know this and just stumble upon FFDP, one might conjure up other acronyms, such of a pornographic nature. And if your brain works and operates anything like mine, it might fill in the blanks for the other two F's and come up with something that sounds ridiculous, such as foxy, frisky, double penetration. Or that might just be me. In this video, I intend to showcase and bitch about people and their stupid logic. A certain type of stupid logic that occurs when someone gets offended and goes off half-cocked without establishing any sort of dialogue with the person that they are arguing with. Which I feel that a dialogue, that conversation, is the main difference between a debate and an argument. The willingness to listen to what other people have to say. This particular type of stupid logic happens, at least in this instance, when criticizing a person's favorite band or genre of music. That person then becomes so gung-ho, so headstrong, so full of pride and valor, that they blindly swoop in to strike down the opposing viewpoint, as if to defend their band from negative criticism. By no means is this what I referred to as a metal elitist in my Am I Metal Enough video. But there is a similar defensiveness that is occurring here. This is still very much the byproduct of criticizing or shit-talking the things that people hold dear. They perceive it to be as if they are being attacked personally, and maybe that they just can't believe or can't accept that the music that they listen to might actually suck. Or in the very least that their band isn't liked by everyone. So the logic follows that something must be wrong with the person who holds this opposing viewpoint. So instead of accepting that people have differing opinions and points of view, they try to obliterate those who oppose them. Because by criticizing the band, you're actually criticizing them. At least in this case, in my very well educated theory. But hey, it's just a theory! Oh god, that was fucking awful. Why did I do that? On June 3rd, Stevey T, properly known as Stephen Terraberry, took to Instagram to ask the internet what some of the most hated bands are and why. If you want to go ahead and check out his video that was the subsequent effort of this post, I'll drop a link in the description below. Now, before I forget, I do want to admit that I may not have been as forthcoming with my statement that sparked all of this as I could have been. So I'm going to take the blame for not being more clear, and I am not going to be throwing a fit about it. because I understand that the wording of my comment did not exactly suggest any kind of context. Therefore, I admit that I understand exactly why these individuals got all heated about my comment. That being said, my point is not necessarily to defend myself, though it may happen in the process. But I am using this as a means to explain why these types of responses just lack support and have no ground to stand on. And that when you make arguments like this, you just sound really silly. Because you have to make assumptions when you don't open dialogue or ask questions. Debating can bring better understanding to any disagreement and to take it from being an argument and turn it into a conversation, even if you still don't see eye to eye with that person after you respectively walk away. And above all things, I am making this video because I love to get on my high horse, get all snobbish and snarky and pretentious for your viewing pleasure. Then I get a sense of enrapturing catharsis by venting my frustrations in this platform. My videos like this are, in a way, a sense of therapy. Man, maybe I should talk to my therapist about this. Anyhow, in recent months there have been made countless memes on the internet that are making fun of Five Finger Death Punch. Though by the time this video is actually uploaded and posted, those memes are probably dead. Regardless, these memes portray, or had portrayed, that the band is disingenuous and cocky and pretentious and are just tough guys who would lose in or back down from an actual fight. Meanwhile, the memes portray that the fans are either neckbeardy types or that the fans are Republican assholes that chew skull and beat their wives. Now let me make a distinction here that is very clear. Republican assholes. Assholes that are not Republican, not to say that all Republicans are assholes. I feel like I need to make that connotation, a little disclaimer there. So I picked from those memes what I sort of, if not more or less, agreed with. Also embellishing on my original opinions about the music itself. Many memesters and meme lords tend to carry their favorite memes with them and bring them into the real world and plaster it as a joke just to see those who are less well versed in meme culture get all triggered and enraged. Oh god, excuse me. So with a question like this, I was genuinely surprised that there weren't more people hating on Five Finger Death Punch. Where I went wrong is that I did not say that. I didn't mention the memes at all. So I see how my misplaced words could have offended somebody, so I will accept my fault here. But that doesn't make what follows any less hilarious. Yet there were two individuals who were very displeased by my opinion. That being said, there were only two people, so I don't want to portray the idea that I was being attacked in some way. I don't want that's not how I feel about this at all. It was only two people, big fucking whoop. Also, I'm going to blank their names because I don't want to put them on blast. Shitting on these people is not the point of this video at all. I don't know these people. I don't want to assume things about them or who they are, aside from this standalone comment that they posted to me. So I'm going to take their words and detach them from the person, and use their text alone for my examples to further my point. Albeit aggressively and at times condescendingly, especially on the second comment. That one is my favorite. The first comment I'm much nicer with because I understand where he's coming from for the most part. So this one is going to be the more tame of the two. That person stated as such, it's all about personal preferences, and whatever you're claiming about Five Finger Death Punch, FFDP, is totally fallacious. So instead of putting a finger on someone's talent, you better just admit that you are just not into them, alright? Because there are many, many bands who don't change their sound throughout their career, like Motorhead. First of all, you're absolutely correct about it being just a matter of preference. Not everybody has to agree with me. But Stevey T, the man who posted this picture, this question, asked for us to answer why we felt this way. So I did. Now what I'm about to say goes for both responses, so it may have been better to put this part before, but I was dragging on and I wanted to get to the point. Regardless, how are you going to come in here and get all flustered on a post when somebody is asking for all of their followers on their opinion why certain bands suck? It could be any random band that somebody's going to mention. It could be any reason why they think this band sucks. Certainly somebody is going to mention your band that you treasure so dearly. It's going to be somewhere in there. Somebody's going to have a differing opinion than you in this series, this cascade of viewpoints from probably all across the world where there's internet. So you're setting yourself up for frustration and to get all flustered when this is your attitude coming to a post like this. And I quote, "Whatever you were claiming about FFDP, foxy, frisky, double penetration, is totally fallacious." Are they? Are my claims actually totally fallacious? Let's take a deeper look. I claim that they were disingenuous. Disingenuous? Disingenuous. When you, in any media, any artistic expression, when you talk about how angry you are, how ready to fight you are, how mentally unstable you are all the time, in almost all of your songs, at least the heavier ones, which is over half, it gives the casual listener the impression that this person speaking these words are putting on a front and just being an arrogant asshole. It can easily make a casual listener feel like that this person who is speaking these words is being pretentious and is not serious about how tough they are, and that you are blowing smoke because of how aggressively you have to assert your hyper-masculine ego. Another claim was that they repeat the same solos and riffs over and over, just slightly differently. Oftentimes the production quality, as well as the overall tone of the guitars, will give the idea of what band you are listening to without knowing the song. Just by hearing the typical sounds of the guitar and the tone and overall effects on everything, you can tell who it is without looking it up. Or looking at your phone or iPod. Do people still use iPods, or are they just all iPhones now? There are also cases where it is not the tone, but the repeated and recycled scales, strumming patterns, and chord progressions that make somebody recognize them instantly. Admittedly, both is the case with Five Finger. Their sound and tone has not changed drastically over the years, so they are easily recognizable in that way. But they use the same gallops, the same chugs, the same strumming patterns, scales, chord progressions on every fucking album. Even Ivan Moody's phrasing and vocal patterns for his rough vocals don't deviate too far on their heavier songs. Altogether, aside from the choruses, this can give the casual listener the sense that there is not much deviation, very much the same old feelings. They do have a few songs that stand out here and there, about 2 or 3 on each album, but otherwise it's a lump of heavy, egotistical, tough guy music. Bet you didn't expect to stumble into a fucking critique on Five Finger Death Punch overall. If it's not obvious, I'm reading from a fucking script. The critiquing is going to continue. If you don't want me to critique Five Finger Death Punch, click off now. Go. Shoot. Okay, I'm kidding. Come back. Come back! Please. And then my claim that the most adherent fans seem to be white trailer trash Republican alcoholic dads. I will touch on that a bit more when getting into the second response, but the types of fans who are the loudest, most brash, arrogant, and boastful oftentimes tend to be white trailer trash Republican alcoholic dads. But I digress. As we discussed in my Am I Metal Enough video, I am starkly and irrevocably aware that the loudest and proudest are those who are heard. and in turn represent the rest of whatever group you're talking about. So if you are a Five Finger Death Punch fan and this is not... excuse me. If you're a fan of Five Finger Death Punch and this is not who or how you are, and I know you're out there, I'm sorry. But these assholes are who are representing you, giving you this bad reputation. Back to the post, the response. Quote, instead of putting finger on someone talent. That was painful to read and to speak. I'm definitely one of those grammar Nazis, I will admit. But I'm going to try not to pick them apart here. I feel there might be somewhat of a language barrier at play here, or that they were typing so fast and they didn't check their phrasing or spelling or anything. Regardless, I'm going to try to guess what they were saying. Not to pick on any language barriers, if there are any, but just so I can move forward with this video. Are they insinuating that I am not talented? Perhaps they are saying that I am hating on them because they are talented. If it is the former statement that I am not talented, on what basis do they have? They've never met me. They've not seen me play any instrument or use any of my singing skills. How would they know if I'm not talented? And I don't feel I need to demonstrate that here, that I am talented, because that is not my point. My point is that they have no basis and no way of knowing if that is the case. Maybe they're saying that I'm less talented than Five Finger Death Punch. You got me there. They are much more talented than me, all of them. But my accusations never were that they were untalented. If anything, I feel that it is because of their talent that they should be making more music other than the same few recycled riffs and solos. So really, I'm disappointed that I'm not hearing a wider range of their talents when I know they are capable of it. Oh, also, if the accusation is that I am hating on them because they are talented, to this argument I must remind everybody, just because somebody is talented, or famous, or rich, or dead, for that matter, or anything at all, does not make them exempt or free from criticism. Oh, and before any of you say, oh, well, if you know so much, I'd like to see you make a better song. I'd like to see you create better music. I'm going to quote a tweet from none other than Gent Daddy Dines himself. Critics do not need to be good at something to critique it. I can't cook for shit, but I know shitty food when I taste it. Back to the post, back to this person's words. Quote, just admit that you are not into them, alright? If it's not obvious by now, cat's out of the fucking bag, I actually really like Five Finger Death Punch. Granted, I have gotten lazy and I haven't really listened to anything since, The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Part 1. But their first 4 albums are fucking dope. I just said dope. Oh god. If for nothing else than the fact that they take simple constructs to their songs and make them sound good when the structure isn't very complex. I have always appreciated a band that can take simple and make it sound good. What are some other examples? Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin, countless others from the original lineup of heavy metal are really good at, hang on, before I forget, AC/DC. Oh, but AC/DC isn't metal. What the fuck ever. Bands that aren't super complex omit their solos, but they have really strong and solid structure to their songs, and it's wonderfully on time. They understand harmonizing, dynamics, and how to package it all and make it sound good. I actually enjoy Five Finger Death Punch. So this person in this argument they are only assuming things. I did not say that I did not like them or that I was not into them. The difference here is that I am not above criticizing music that I enjoy. For me, criticizing something is sort of like picking it apart. And it is by picking it apart that I can see everything about it and appreciate it as it truly is, with all of its bells and whistles exposed, and I can see them and appreciate each piece singularly. And when I say something falls short, it is only that it falls short of my personal preferences or expectations. I constantly criticize my favorite bands all the time. For me, by seeing something in all of its facets makes me appreciate it even more. It makes me feel closer to it and the artist that made it happen. Also, by laughing at it, laughing with something I love, it makes my memories of that thing even fonder, because it is littered with laughter and appreciation. Alright, I need to fucking wrap this comment up real quick by arguing one last line, and then I can finally move on to the next one. Quote, because there are many, many bands who don't change their sound throughout their entire career like Motorhead. You're absolutely correct. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Let us revisit my favorite band, Volbeat, or Volbeat. Volbeat. I don't know. I'm going to keep calling them Volbeat. They have sounded the same, give or take minor slight changes, since they started. Now being signed since 2005, so 13 years now. 13 years they've been signed. That's not going to include the times that they were playing together, jamming together, writing and creating songs to get signed. And now they have a discography that spans across 6 albums. They have made some slight changes here and there, such as dropping their rockabilly influences and focusing more on a straight-up heavy metal sound. But it is otherwise the same, and they have the same sound that they have had for well over a decade. A sound that I have not tired of since I stumbled onto them back in 2010. In conclusion, these arguments are all valid out of context. They are all good points. But they are out of context, which leaves you to assume things. Granted, everything that I've embellished here and explained and sort of defended myself and went into greater detail was to point that this person and several other people like this person, when entering an argument like that, you have to make assumptions about that person to try and discredit them, if you will. By assuming things without any context, holes have been put in all of these points, leaving nothing for the exact accusations to be supported by. In a general sense, they're absolutely valid and accurate, but none of that is what I was saying. The ship has sunk. Next comment. Hey guys, it's me, your host, Jakel. Currently I am in editing and also feeding my son. If you were wondering, there's definitely more to this video coming. However, unfortunately, there's gonna have to be a part 2. Because I didn't realize until about, sometime last night, that I had filmed over an hour's worth of footage. So, that being said, I did not want to cut even more information out since I had already cut out a lot from this video because I didn't want it to be like hour-long video. Who's gonna watch me sit and talk about Five Finger Death Punch for a fucking hour? Hey love, how you doing? Nobody. In the very least, very few of you. So I cut this into 2 videos, the first one being the synopsis and the first comment. The second one is the second comment, which is by a much more brash individual, and I'm going to rip that comment a new one. So, stay tuned. Tomorrow the next one is going to be up, and unless this is after tomorrow, then I'm going to go ahead and put the suggested video box right here. Hang tight, the next one should be funnier, and is personally my preferred of the two. Until then, just hang tight, it'll be up sometime tomorrow. If not, just go ahead and fucking click it, it's right there. Alright, peace out, much love, namaste, and goodbye.